Welcome, brave traveller, to a journey through the shadows of medieval warfare, where glory is but a fleeting dream, and defeat carves the true stories of kings and kingdoms. Here we unravel the darkest battles that changed history's course, from the scorching deserts of Hatton to the muddy fields of Agincourt, from the shattered legions at Manzikert to the steadfast militias at Golden Spurs. These are tales of courage crushed by folly, pride undone by cunning, and empires toppled by the harsh hand of fate. Join me as we walk the bloodied fields where knights fell, armies broke, and the world was forever altered. If you crave the fierce truth of medieval war, the rise and ruin of great powers, and the lessons carved in iron and fire, then you are in the right place. Like, subscribe, and stand with me as we explore the mighty and the fallen. Medieval warfare was far from the shining tales of glory and honor sung by bards and whispered in castle halls. More oft than not, it was a bitter theatre of crushing defeat, where great armies shattered under the weight of folly, pride, or ill fate. In this tale, I will lead thee through the darkest hours on medieval battlefields, the moments when mighty hosts fell to ruin, when hopes bled dry, and the very course of kingdoms turned on the edge of disaster. These were no mere losses of men and steel. These were cataclysms that reshaped the fate of realms, unraveling thrones and tearing at the fabric of empires. We shall walk the fields of Hatton, Agincourt, Manzikert, and beyond, feeling the dust and despair that swallowed knights and kings alike. Hear now the harsh truths of medieval war, the tragedy of hubris, the price of error, and the cruel hand of destiny. If thou art drawn to the stirring tales of old, the battles lost and the lessons carved in blood, then tarry here, and let thy heart be struck by the weight of history's harshest blows. For in these stories lie the bitter wisdom of kings and warriors, the fall of chivalry, and the slow, grinding shift from glory to ruin. Like and subscribe to join this journey through the annals of medieval warfare, where the brave met their fate and empires crumbled beneath the heavy heel of defeat. In the heat of July, the year of our Lord 1187, the field of Hatton bore witness to a calamity that shook the Crusader states to their core. King Guy of Lusignan, proud and resolute, forsook a place of strength at Sephoria, lured by the subtle provocation of Saladin near the shores of Tiberias. Thus did he lead his heavy, armoured host into the barren wasteland beneath the scorching sun, far from the blessed waters that might quench their thirst. The Crusaders, encumbered by gleaming armour and ill-prepared for the cruel summer's embrace, found themselves prey to Saladin's cunning craft. The springs at Hatton, a vital lifeline, were lost to their grasp, sealed by the enemy's swift hand. Smoke and fire, kindled in the dry grasses, suffocated their ranks. Exhaustion and thirst tore at their will. Confusion unravelled their once proud formations. The knights, those noble sons of the Templar and Hospitaller orders, were cut down or taken captive as their cavalry faltered and their infantry scattered. King Guy fell prisoner, while the grim fate of Ronaldo Saxton sealed the doom of their cause. The loss of the true cross, sacred relic of the Passion, was a blow that crushed the spirit of Latin Christendom. Hatton was no mere defeat. It was the unravelling of a kingdom's defence, the twilight of Christian dominion in the Holy Land, and a lesson writ in fire about the dangers of over-reliance on heavy cavalry, poor supplies, and divided command. Fast forward to the sodden fields of Agincourt in the bitter autumn of 1415. The French, armed with pride and far outnumbering their foes, marched confidently to meet the English, bearing the weight of chivalric tradition like a banner. Yet the rain had turned the land to a quagmire, thick and clinging, a cruel adversary that swallowed horse and foot alike. The narrow battlefield, hemmed by dark woods, proved no place for knights to thunder forth with honour. The English, led by the sharp-witted King Henry V, arrayed their longbowmen behind sharpened stakes, their arrows flying swift and deadly. French knights, hampered by mud and chaos, charged into a storm of shafts and disarray. Armor that once gleamed now caught no glory but the damp mire. Horses sank, men fell in heaps, trapped beneath the fallen and the earth itself. The noble class bled heavily, knights and commanders alike swallowed by the mud and the relentless hail. Agincourt was more than a battlefield. It was the harbinger of a new age where bow and strategy would rend the veil of feudal pride, marking the decline of the mounted knight's supremacy. The year 1071 saw the fate of an empire sealed on the rugged soil of Manzikert. Emperor Romanos Roman IV, driven by dreams of reclaiming lost lands from the Seljuk Turks, led an army vast yet fractured. His forces, a patchwork of hired swords, levies, and distrustful nobles, marched with a fragile unity shattered by court intrigue and jealousy. Romanos, misjudging his foes and trusting too little in his own ranks, advanced into unknown lands without counsel or scouts to guide him. The Seljuks, masters of swift horse archers and hit and run strikes, danced around the cumbersome Byzantine legions, wearing them down. Betrayal struck hard. General Andronikos Daukos, holding the reserves, withdrew at the critical hour, leaving the emperor exposed and surrounded. The fall was swift, Romanos captured, only to be humiliated and blinded in the city he once ruled. Manzikert was no mere battle lost. It was the undoing of Byzantium's grip on Anatolia, opening the gates to Turkish conquest, weakening the empire's heart and heralding a century of strife and decay. In the year 1302, near Courtrai, a humbling thunder shook the proud French nobility. The Battle of the Golden Spurs bore witness to the fall of knights beneath the steadfast feet of Flemish townsfolk, artisans, tradesmen, and common labourers who took up arms to defend their homes and freedoms. Though lacking in horse and heraldry, these militias wielded spears and pikes with a discipline born of necessity and fierce resolve. The French, drunk on the certainty of their mounted might, charged into marshy ground rife with stakes and pits, their steeds floundering and breaking ranks. The Flemish stood firm, their ranks a wall of defiance, driving axes and pikes into those who dared approach. Thousands of French knights met death upon that field, their golden spurs strewn as grim trophies. This battle, more than a contest of arms, was the herald of change, the waning of feudal chivalry, the rise of disciplined infantry, and the subtle shifting of power from noble lineage to the steadfast common man. The dawn of the 15th century saw the clash of titans at Grunwald, where the Teutonic order met its reckoning. The polished knights, heirs to a sacred martial tradition, faced a united force of Polish and Lithuanian warriors, bound by strategy and purpose beyond faith or tongue. The battle began with a feigned retreat by the Lithuanians, drawing the Teutonic knights into a trap of overconfidence. As the knights broke formation to pursue what they thought a fleeing foe, Lithuanian forces turned to strike from the flanks, while Polish warriors engaged with fierce resolve. The death of the Grandmaster plunged the knights into chaos, and the once mighty order fell in a tide of blood and broken steel. Grunwald did more than break an army. It broke a symbol, shifting the balance of power in Eastern Europe and signaling the end of rigid, heavy cavalry dominance in favor of fluid alliances and adaptable warfare. The year 1396 bore witness to Necopoulos, where the pride of Western Christendom found its match in the cunning and resilience of the Ottoman Empire. A grand crusade, led by King Sigismund and joined by nobles from across Europe, should have been a storm to crush the Ottoman advance. Yet internal strife, clashing egos, and a lack of unified command shattered the coalition before battle had truly begun. The French knights, blinded by their quest for glory, charged ahead without heed to strategy. breaking their lines and falling prey to the hidden reserves of disciplined janissaries and cavalry. The Ottoman forces encircled and overwhelmed the disorganized Crusaders, inflicting a devastating defeat that echoed through the courts of Europe. Necopoulos was a bitter lesson. The valor of knights, when untethered from command and strategy, was no match for the rising tide of a professional, centralized foe. It marked the turning of tides, the rise of a new power in Eastern Europe, and the fading of medieval military pride. Kosovo, in the year 1389, was a grim crossroads where a fading world met the unstoppable march of empire. The Serbian-led Christian coalition, a tapestry of lords and vassals bound more by custom than unity, faced the disciplined and centrally led forces of the Ottoman Sultan Murad I. The battle raged with fierce valor, marked by moments of desperate bravery, including the bold assassination of the Sultan by Milos Obilic. Yet the death of Murad brought no victory. His son, Bajazid, swiftly took command, rallying the Ottoman ranks to press on. Prince Lazar was captured and executed, and with the loss of their leader, the Christian forces fragmented, their military might broken. Kosovo was a crushing blow to Serbian independence, a symbol of sacrifice and lost glory, and a stark lesson in the power of centralized, professional armies over feudal coalitions. It showed how the old world of fragmented knights and lords was yielding to a new order of empires and discipline. In the rugged lands near Stirling Castle in 1314, a battle unfolded that would echo through the ages as proof that the mighty might fall to the resolute. Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, led a smaller host against the vast English army of Edward Roman II. The Scots, versed in their rugged home terrain, chose a narrow, marshy field that turned the enemy's cavalry into a stumbling, faltering mass. Sheltrons, tight formations of spearmen, formed an impenetrable shield against the charge of armored knights. The English, overconfident and ill-prepared for such terrain, faltered and fell into chaos. Bruce seized the moment, pressing his advantage with fierce discipline, and forced Edward Roman II into flight. Bannockburn was more than a victory. It was a statement the age of mounted knights was waning, and the future belonged to those who commanded their men with skill, who knew their land, and who fought not just with sword but with mind. It was a turning point that heralded the rise of infantry and the fall of feudal invincibility. Thus, through the fields soaked with blood and the echoes of broken swords, we see the true nature of medieval warfare, not merely tales of heroism, but sagas of hubris, betrayal, and the harsh lessons that shaped the destiny of kingdoms. These battles from Hatton to Bannockburn remind us that victory belongs not always to the strong, but to the wise, the adaptable, and the united. Remember well these stories, for in their telling lies the heartbeat of history and the pulse of human endeavor. If thou hast found strength in these tales, if thy soul is stirred by the valor and the tragedy of those who fought and fell, then pledge to journey with me further. Like this tale, subscribe to this channel, and together we shall delve deeper into the shadows and glory of the past. The saga is far from over, and many more stories await to be told, tales that will move thy heart, sharpen thy mind, and kindle the fire of knowledge. Fare thee well, noble friend. May the wisdom of these battles guide thy steps, and may the courage of those who faced darkness inspire thee in thy own quests. Until next we meet, keep honor in thy heart and vigilance in thy mind, for the lessons of the past are the shield and sword of tomorrow. Farewell, noble friend. May these tales of medieval valor and defeat sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit. If these stories moved your heart and stirred your soul, like and subscribe to join our quest for forgotten truths and timeless lessons. Until next we meet, carry honor and wisdom with thee, for the past guides the path ahead.